Oh, okay. Hello. If you're here, I'm Doreen. I hope that you came from our previous video that we posted where we talked a little bit about Abe's experience or alleged experience,
It was very alleged, it was very fake and fictional.
alleged experience in class. And we did it within the context of HBCUs, Black radical tradition, and just Black resistance movements. But I felt like we needed a part two because there's so much that we could get into when we talk about HBCUs. I am a teacher at an HBCU. I teach English 100 to freshman students, and I'm seeing just so many patterns when the students actually get to my class. It's concerning in some ways. I always say that the students, like I teach students that are 18, 19, 20, some in their like, I teach one student that's the same age as me. But some of my students are writing at levels that I don't think they should be writing at, especially as like young adults. It's like concerning, but then I feel like who is accountable for this? Is it the student? Is it their parents or their caretakers, their families? Or is it the teachers before
Yeah.
they got to me? So I'm having to maybe do things in class where we go over like, this is punctuation. Here's how you use a comma. This is a fanboy. um, Capitalize the beginning of your sentences. This is how I want you to format your essays. Those kinds of things. Um, but I'm trying to like be optimistic, or not optimistic, but like be realistic about like these disparities in the students that I'm seeing. They existed even before the pandemic, but because of the pandemic, the students tell me they feel like they missed out on 2 or 3 years worth of English education, that their teachers just gave up on them completely. Um, so the disparities always existed. Black students were not just falling behind. It was very intentional, and that the system was allowing them to fall, was creating the conditions for them to fall behind. But the pandemic exasperated things. Um, yeah, it's just a lot. And not just with like the actual writing itself, but by the time the students come to me, they're not very confident. A lot of my like classes mm, are created in such a way that it's very like discussion. I include a lot of like community building in my classes. So like I want you to communicate and talk through the things. And it's okay to not always have the language, right? Like I don't get onto my students about, you have to use a certain word or you have to have this or that. Like, no, we'll find the language together. But a lot of my students don't even want to speak up because they're not even confident about what it is they believe in. They're not even confident about themselves. And that translates in many other ways. Like they'll write a paper and they'll turn it in to me. Give me a final copy that has not been proofread, has not been edited, nothing. But I believe it's because mm, it takes a certain level of confidence to actually sit with something that you wrote and to go back through and fix those mistakes, to actually, read it out loud to yourself and realize like, oh, maybe I said something I wasn't supposed to say here, or oh, like I misspelled something. It takes a certain level of confidence that I don't think my students actually have. So that's just like it sucks because my students are turning in papers that are sometimes C's, D's, F's. And I'm like, this could have been an A or a B had you just done your due diligence in the writing process. So, but I think Abe was a teacher at a certain point as well. So
Yes,
maybe Abe can speak to some of what he's seen in the school system.
yes, absolutely. I was a teacher for third graders at a Christian summer day school in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Despite it being a very toxic work environment, I really did enjoy working with the kids that I encountered. One of the things that I preferably see is that there is a lack of manners and there is a lack of respect for adults.
Mm.
Children are speaking and using language as if they are 30, 35 years old.
What kind of language? Like cursing?
Cursing, watching certain movies, and content, um, making certain sexual gestures that is not acceptable for,
Third graders?
yes, it
Third
is
graders.
not acceptable for a child to, that's not, yuck. Um, it, but then also I learned the backstory of these kids as well.
Mm.
And so I couldn't really blame them, but it's hard when the parents do not reinforce the things that we teach at school, at home. Um,
So do you think
again,
maybe teachers are do you think like teachers are also teachers and because I try my best not to, but I am not your parent. Like I'm trying to stay in my role as teacher, but do you think teachers have to take on that role, like being parents?
yes, a lot of them do. I know I had to be, as a Black male, I had to be a father figure to many boys because they've never seen a Black man who was, I guess, considerably well spoken. Uh, I had a female co-teacher as well that would work alongside me, and me and her worked well together. And they even made little jokes like, Abe and Mrs. Blank are together because they think that a Black man and a Black woman working together and having mutual respect for each other means that they have to be boyfriend and girlfriend.
Oh, okay. So they've never seen, wow, that's interesting.
They've
They've
never
never
seen
seen Black men and women just be in friendship together.
in friendship and community and working well together. We never overshadowed one another. We never talked down to one another. Where one was weak, one helped. Wherever I was weak, she helped me. Wherever she was weak, I helped her. We helped each other. Sometimes I had to play bad cop and put kids in timeout and tell
Not
kids.
a good cap, bad cop. Hold on, we're supposed to be abolitionists.
Yes, well, good angel and devil.
Not like, okay, the two characters
Yeah,
on the shoulder. Yeah, yeah.
even though I did but never did anything sinister, I just would tell them, you need to go into timeout. Some of these kids have problems with reading and a lot of anxiety around reading because
You said your kids to time out.
just to sit out for a little bit, you can't do what you
Okay.
want to do in Mr. Reed's class.
Oh.
You cannot disrespect me. You cannot throw things at me. You cannot curse me out.
Mm. See,
Absolutely not.
see, with my students the other day, they came in, I can feel the anxiety coming off of them. I feel the stress. It's like stressing me out. I'm like, do not stress me out, please. I'm okay. So when my students came in the other day, I played a meditation, like a guided meditation video for them.
Yes, Lord.
And I'm like,
Yes.
listen, we in my class we operate in consent. So if you want to participate, you can participate. You don't have to. If you don't want to, just please be quiet. And I was so amazed by how many students actually just sat there, closed their eyes, and just like was just practicing that breathing.
Oh, yes. I did that all the time with my babies. I
Meditation?
well, it was a Christian
Oh,
thing, so we couldn't do meditation, but I will call it meditation on the word or meditation on the Lord.
oh, okay.
And we would read Bible stories, and I would talk about stories like Daniel, about how he was an oppressed person in a foreign land who was being persecuted, and how he was fighting against the powers that be.
Just like that
And
to the third graders. He's oppressed.
yes,
They're like, what
and
is oppression? It's a
I
lot.
would say, no, I would say he was treated much differently because he was different, you know? And they would be like, I want to be like Daniel. I want to stand up against the big people. You got to plant seeds everywhere.
Come on, eat
Yeah.
the rich. Get with it. Like we trying to
Oh
do this.
no, you must wanted me to get fired. Okay.
So what happened when they were meditating on the word?
Well, we would just give them a word. We wouldn't be saying the Bible or no. We would just say peace. What does peace look like? And we would have
Mm,
talk time where we talked about our feelings in the morning, and the things that we were going through, and the things that we saw. And I saw a drastic change in behavior every morning when we did that from the days that we were so busy that we didn't do it. They were bad, acting out, acting a fool on the
no.
days that I'm telling you, on the days that we forgot to do it because we were so busy or because we were having some type of pressure. But the days we had time to actually do it, we actually let them take their time and eat their breakfast. We made them take their time. Sometimes when they wanted to sleep or take a nap, they would lay down because the requirement was they had to go to chapel. I was going to make them go to no chapel. But then they started saying, you have to make your kids go to chapel. And I was just like, okay, well, okay. So two of the boys, they would be up all night. They would not sleep. They were in a very, very bad homeless situation.
Mm.
Every morning, I would say, you guys go on the rug. I brought them some pillows and some blankets, and I would let them sleep as long as they want. I would let the kids have nap time. They were third graders. They weren't supposed to have nap time. I said, y'all gonna have nap time. Y'all gonna lay down.
Yeah, because I need to lay down too.
Exactly.
Y'all lay down. I'm gonna go lay down.
Yeah.
Mm.
So, yeah.
Mm. Yeah, I do. I don't do talk time. Is that what you called it?
Yeah, we would have talk time. We would have a plushy toy,
Oh,
and
okay.
I would talk about first. I would say, "Hi, I'm Mr. Abe. Hello, Mr. Abe. Good morning." I'd
Cute.
say, "Good morning, children. Here's how I feel today. I feel. I would tell the truth. I say I feel tired, feel a little lonely, and I feel like it's a lot of stuff on me."
Mm.
And then one kid would get up and say, Mr. Abe, can I speak? And I would say, sure. I give them a plushy toy. They would say, Mr. Abe, I feel that way too.
Oh,
Can
like
I give you a hug?
mm.
And I would let them give me a hug. And first, I was teaching them about community and how to trust one another and develop it. Because at first, they had all kind of messed up relationships with one another. But after I was done with them, they was one big happy family.
Oh, see, and when I taught for the first semester last semester, I definitely got that vibe that like, okay, my students are actually meeting up outside of class. They're hanging out with each other. My students talk about, you going to this party this weekend? You gonna come pick me up? Like that's how they be talking. And it makes me I'm always like, be safe, first of all. I know what goes on at A&T. Um
Period.
but it does make me feel good that the students are developing that relationship and that rapport with each other, because my students come to me in college and they talk about they outright tell me like, I feel like I have no friends here. I don't even know how to make friends. Like I'm an introvert, I have social anxiety, I don't know how to speak to people, which is difficult because I like to do a lot of like group activities, and I know how people feel about group activities. But for me, it's like I would much rather like get together as a group, do this together, divvy up the work, and that way it's easier. Everybody put your name on it. The people that actually participated put your name on it, and that's how I'm going to grade it. I try to take the burden. I try to do more classwork, but I really try to take the burden off of individual people, because I feel like we learn in collective. We learn in groups and community together. So it does make me feel good when the students are like, yeah, like I'm actually talking to this person. Like I went out to eat with this person. We're going to this party this weekend. I think it's cute. I'm like, okay. And then we don't do the talks, but we do check-ins at the beginning of my class. Every single class, I ask the students, um, tell me your name, because I don't know any of y'all's name. Tell me how you're doing. And then we throw like, I ask like a fun question or something. Um, sometimes it's good questions, very deep, profound. Tell me the best piece of advice anybody's ever given you. Then other times it'll be, you know, brown liquor or white. We just go around the class as each individual person. Surprisingly, a lot of my students said Patron. First of all, y'all are
Underage.
18.
I mean, it's legal in Mexico. So.
Hello, police.
Je téléphone à la police.
But no, yeah, my students seem to, I feel like that's a good way to get to know everyone. And it's also a good way for me to assess. Like if you tell me, when I ask, how are you doing? And the students say like, hey, I'm feeling really tired. I don't have capacity today. Then I know when we are in class, I'm not going to call on you. I'm not going to pick on you.
That's right.
I'm going to let you have your moment, your day. But yeah, I think it's a really good way to just like assess the class. So
yeah, it's good. First of all, you're teaching kids that it's okay. I realized it was good because we're teaching kids that you have emotions and it's okay to feel these emotions. A lot of these kids come from that I worked with come from broken homes. Not all, but some of them came from broken homes, single parent homes where, the environments aren't the best. They have the pressures of everything going on in their lives.
mm-hmm.
And just by giving them a space to be able to talk about what's going on and to feel what they're feeling, and everyone hugged them and just, there was one kid, he was crying, and I knew his family situation, and I told everybody, let's just join hands. And I told him to stand in the circle. And we literally I said, let's just hold him in a circle of love right now.
Oh, how sweet.
And I made everybody hug him. And they were talking to him and they were giving him advice like, it's going to be okay. I have hard days when my mom takes my switch. So it's going to be okay.
No, and I worry because I try not to require too many writing assignments, but I do want to see that the students are thinking. So when I ask you questions or when I give you writing prompts, the writing prompts are always going to come back to you, who you are, how you relate to the world, society, community, all of those things. And I remember last semester, I had a writing prompt for the students where I asked them to just write 100 words about like, what communities do you come from? What histories do you come from? Like, I really want you to think about that and tell me how that shaped who you are. And one of my students just outright wrote to me like, hey, I don't have anybody else to talk to right now. And I'm writing to you and I probably shouldn't, but like, I'm so completely depressed, and like just opened up about their mental health. And like, why would I be upset with the student because they're telling me what's going on in their life?
That's teachers that will blow up on a student because of mental health issues. But then, with my kids, even though they were going through hard things, and I would talk to them basically about mental health, and they're talking about mental health and tell them it's okay to be sad, but you got to pick yourself up and try again. You can dust it off and try again.
Okay. Not the song. I'm up here like, wait, I'm really getting into it. Like, he's so right. Wait, hold on. I've heard that lyric before.
Yeah.
Not at first you don't succeed. Yeah.
Yes. But, just talking to them and getting to know their parents and, teaching them that you don't got to put your hands on nobody. Whenever they would hit another person, Why'd you hit them? I was frustrated. He was all in my way. So that warrants you to hit him. Go have a seat, baby. Go have a seat. Go have a seat and cool down. And you're not getting up. And you're going to write these sentences about why it's wrong. And then you're going to read it to the person you did it to. And you're going to apologize. And y'all going to hug. And y'all going to stay away from each other for the rest of the day. And then when y'all want to be friends, y'all going to be friends again.
Mm-hmm. And I worry about Black students in particular because like, as much as I'd like to believe HBCUs are safe spaces, that's not always necessarily the case. That's not always necessarily the case. So then I think to myself, like, you know, in those moments where the students truly need support, need help, who are they going to go to? Who are they going to ask? Like, yeah, I worry about the students a lot. I don't
Me
even know if
too.
they know who to ask. How do I even seek out help?
I worry about everyone who is from the age of 18 to 28 right now
Why?
because we are lost. We got our priorities in the wrong place. I look at some of the people, the organizers at SNCC. I look at some of the things of the past, and I look at what we have to deal with and what we have to clean up behind. No wonder why we're so depressed.
Mm,
It's a lot. We don't even have youth development groups anymore where
mm.
youth can just get together in a think tank and just be. Because I mean, Twitter is one, but that's not a good example. I mean, I would not listen to anyone on Twitter or take them seriously. But you're right about HBCUs.
Yeah, I mean, and it's difficult because, I understand like we're in a pandemic, but I think of like there's something to be said about being in physical space with people. You get to
Yes.
look at their face, you get to read their body language, their energy, you get to really like feel, you know? And we went to pandemic and it felt like maybe we took those things for granted, those physical spaces. If
Hmm.
not the physical spaces, the moments that happen in them with real people. So my students, when I tell you that I feel like they come to me as 18, 19, 20 year olds, but in some ways I feel like emotionally they're not even there.
They're emotionally 15, they're emotionally 14. You're at the age whatever trauma happened to you. Let's
Yeah.
keep it real. As someone who experiences trauma, I'm still dealing with that inner child that went through all that BS.
Mm.
And if you don't heal that inner child, when you get older, they will keep crying out for help because they haven't had their needs met. A lot of 18, 19 being legal is healing the teenager or the child you couldn't be.
Mm.
And in academia, they don't really realize that people go through real life stuff. And HBCUs are supposed to be safe spaces, but when people look at their situations and they get upset and angry at the systems, they have the school telling them that they're wrong for going against the system because these institutions that they're in benefit from aligning with the system. Just like the Black church aligns with these systems too. At one time they didn't, but now they all up in the videos.
I'm like, what videos? What videos? Tell me.
um, that was a Suge Knight reference about what he said about P. Diddy, but
Sorry, that took me a minute.
yeah, he's legally blind now. But
Oh, oh, he
like
is.
I think, yeah, I think about people how HBCUs are not safe spaces. I was in a Zoom call with some of the organizers from SNCC, um, who are still living, and I thank God for their lives. Just listening to their stories about how they was kicked out of Spelman, how
Mm.
they was kicked out of these HBCUs for wanting to go to Mississippi for Freedom Summer to help poor Black kids in Mississippi learn how to read. And people who in Mississippi who didn't know how to read so they could take the voters test.
Well, and we talked about this a little bit, but HBCUs have Karl Marx says something in the Communist Manifesto about images and the ways that we try and recreate ourselves into bourgeois. I don't speak French, so if I said it wrong, take it up with God.
They want to be like the white people. They
Yeah.
want to be like
And HBCUs, we have that image and we want to maintain it. And when you want to buck against the system,
that pays your bills.
that that goes against the image and the ideas that the idea of ourselves as an institution that we're trying to sell to other students to get them to actually come to this school.
That's right.
I mean, the Howard students that did that sit-in for, I think it was like 30 plus days, where they're talking about like, no, we're going to stay in this building. We're going to have the tents, the sleeping bags, all of the things, and we're going to stay here until administration actually listens to us about pipes being busted, mold being in the dorms, showers. Like, this isn't even a space that we can live in. No person should live in, let alone like
an animal.
Yeah. So no, we're going to cut up and you're going to listen to us because we pay to go here, and we're going to get on the news and we're going to tell everybody. Which, shout out to the Howard students, shout out to all of the people that were supporting that resistance. Like, it was dope, but it shouldn't be. It shouldn't be. But under these systems, it is.
There is an issue of underfunding, and yes, we do know HBCUs are underfunded. But then when you look at the old ways of how they used to raise money and how local communities and the local churches used to donate their money to support the local colleges and universities in their areas and denominations. And we also have to look at the fact that a lot of the early civil rights activists were protesting against the school too. You know what I'm saying? Bayard Rustin was expelled from Wilberforce University because he was protesting the food because the food was nasty and it wasn't good enough for a dog to eat. And they said, you know what? You feminine anyway. We don't want you in here no way. So let's just go ahead, about your business.
Not you feminine anyway.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think it's about that time.
Yes.
If you've made it to the end of our our part 2 to this conversation.
Our rant.
So if you haven't already, please like, comment, subscribe, tell us what you thought of this video, the previous video, and tell us what else you want to hear us talk about. Yeah, that's all I got. I'll be here next week, maybe.
I don't know if I'll be here next week. I might be recovering.
Not recovering.
Spring break starts tomorrow.
Oh, okay. Well, some of us, maybe we'll be here, maybe we won't.
Maybe I won't, or maybe I'll just be half awake. No. But I'll be in the building if I'll be here.
Okay. And with that said, that's the end of our video. I wish we had like applause. Okay. Bye, y'all.
Bye-bye.